One of the big trade-offs we made was automated testing. We avoided automated testing to begin with if it wasn't something that we knew either wasn't going to change or wasn't like super vital to the product where it can't break. That's rough. Without automated testing, you're going to need to be very confident in your code changes without that cushion of, oh, something catches when I make a mistake. Turns out that was a good decision because we went from our 1.0 version of our product to the 2.0 version of our product was a big migration, and it's completely evolved. And so a lot of that testing work would have just kind of thrown away anyway. I'm Alex Yurkowski. I'm the CTO and co-founder at ClickUp.
This is Code Story, the podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries who share in the critical moments of what it takes to change an industry and build and lead a team that has your back. I'm your host, Noah Labhart, and today how Alex Yurkowski built the future of work by creating one app to replace them all. All this and more on Code Story. Alex Yurkowski grew up in New Jersey. He has always been into tech and building things, especially in software. Like many others, it started with a lot of video games, like Warcraft, Starcraft, basically the entire Blizzard portfolio. But along with that, it included Legos, Kinects, and then progressed naturally into computer science. He attended Notre Dame to study CS, and being a part of the Fighting Irish, he can confirm there is a love-hate relationship with the Rudy story. Post-college, he worked at IBM for a stint in North Carolina, and it was at this point in his life that he got married and then moved to LA, and he's been there for about 5 years. He and his co-founder were working on projects together, and they went through multiple workflow tools that didn't fit their work style. They realized that there was a gap in the market where people needed a tool that allowed them to work the way they wanted and have all of their tools in one place. This is the creation story of ClickUp.
ClickUp is like one place for all your work. So it's more than just project management. We bring in your task management, but we also bring in your docs, spreadsheets, goals, chat, outbound email, all into like one workspace that's fully customizable so you have one place to organize your work and really get things done. There are a few tools out there that try to help you to get things done and organize your work, but we were going through, me and Zeb were working on other things prior to ClickUp. We were going through multiple different tools and we just couldn't find one we liked. They all kind of have horrible UX, are very opinionated about how your workflow should be. They think you should work a certain way. It didn't fit our work style, and we didn't understand why there's not a tool out there that, allows you to work the way you want and get all your things in one place. So, because we were using, 5 different tools depending on the project of what made sense. So we saw an opportunity and to make something for ourselves, and then eventually realized, hey, other people probably would like this too.
So tell me about the MVP. Tell me about how long it took to build and what sort of tools you used to bring it to life.
For the MVP, we kind of, as far as tools go, we've always been a Node.js and Angular shop. So that's just what we are using as far as our tech stack, and we're all on AWS. So that definitely, it's not the old days where you got to handle your own servers or anything. So you can spin up pretty quickly. It took us, I'm not sure how long it took us to get the MVP going. It took us a few months at minimum, but it was very minimum. It was very stress the M of the MVP. I think that's pretty important to just continue it. And something we continue to do at ClickUp is just try to iterate quickly, start with something simple and continue to add to it. Our first version didn't have due dates. like you had tasks with no due dates. And then we just continue to iterate, and listen to our customers about what they needed and what they wanted. As far as building the MVP, I think it's important to stick to that, stick to MVP, get something completed, and then continue from there. You learn a lot by, having something to use, having customers using it, and the sooner you can get to that, the sooner you can try to start hitting product market fit and things like that.
What made you choose Angular over something like React or Vue or something like that?
At the time we started building ClickUp, popularity for Angular and React were probably about similar, and Vue was pretty much non-existent at the time. We just kind of decided to go with Angular. It was a little more mature at the time, and stuck with it.
It was Angular JS back then. Is that correct?
It was Angular 2 already, but it was kind of the beginnings of Angular 2.
What about from like a database standpoint? You know, you got Node, you've got Angular. Are you using Postgres? Are you using Dockbase? What were you using back there?
So we're using Postgres, and it's a multi-master Postgres. So that's a decision we made pretty early on to make sure that we scale geographically to multiple regions with writes. So we have multi-master Postgres in multiple like AWS regions.
So with any MVP, you have to make certain decisions and trade-offs about, you know, what you cut feature-wise in the short term, or technical debt you've got to, you know, accept and deal with later. So tell me about some of those decisions and trade-offs you had to make and how you coped with them.
One of the big trade-offs we made was automated testing. We avoided automated testing to begin with if it wasn't something that we knew either wasn't going to change or wasn't like super vital to the product where it can't break. That's rough. That means that without automated testing, you're going to need to be very confident in your code changes without that cushion of, oh, something catches when I make a mistake. And turns out that was a good decision, because we went from our 1.0 version of our product, I think 2 years ago, I'm not sure how long it's been, but the 1.0 version of our product to the 2.0 version of our product was a big migration, and it's completely like evolved and very different. So a lot of that testing work would have been just kind of thrown away anyway. From the technical side, I'd say that was one of the big trade-offs we made. Another trade-off we made was, I wouldn't say a trade-off, but it's just on the product side, again, making like a minimum viable product. Of course, there's still things we don't have capacity to build. We have a million things we want to make and get into the product, but we have to, you have to make trade-offs and decide this is what we're going to draw the line here so that we can actually ship something. If you're not shipping, you're it's kind of pointless. Your work is not getting to your customers. We want to produce customer value. That requires we draw those lines.
Sure, that makes sense. As an engineer, it's probably, well, I know it is similar to being an artist, right? And if you have to cut a feature, like you mentioned, due dates, and you have to release the product without that, it can sting a little bit, right? So how is that for you, releasing sort of that M and stressing the M in the MVP and seeing your product go out a little bit immature?
We were fine with it. We understood what it was, and we knew we were going to continue to push forward. If you can keep the mindset that, hey, we want to see people use this first and have them hit the product and understand how they're going to use it before we make some decisions on pieces of this product, I think it doesn't sting too much. There's still work, like to get those features out, there would be work to be done. If you're pushing for perfection, you're never going to hit it, and you're never going to have customers using your things. One of our core values at ClickUp is progress towards perfection. Like, we know we can't ship something perfect. We don't have the bandwidth if we want to get something to our customers. Our customers want it now. We just have to take that into consideration. And I think it's important also that our engineering team works closely with product. I mean, for your MVP, it's pretty easy because there's, a handful of people working on it. And so everyone, wears a lot of hats. But even today, it's important that engineering works with product to understand the trade-offs and what the plan is.
So you've got your MVP, you've shipped it, and you mentioned customer feedback. How did you go about progressing the product and maturing it? And I'm interested in how you built your roadmap and decided this is the next most important thing to build.
I mean, as ClickUp's grown, we've continued to just innovate on the platform and ship new features almost every week. That was our goal for a very long time, was every Friday, give our users something. As far as deciding what goes on the roadmap, for a long time, it was making sure we hit people's use cases. So we want ClickUp to be super customizable and available to anyone. Kind of what I was saying earlier is we want you to be able to work the way you want to work. And so we built our roadmap initially to make sure we could hit those use cases of, hey, I work this way and I can't use ClickUp. That's a major red flag, and we wanted to fix that. So we got those onto a list, tried to prioritize them as far as how many people are blocked because this doesn't work. or we don't have this feature, and kind of push in that direction.
Let's switch to team then. So how did you build your team? And I'm looking for what you looked for in those people to indicate that they were the winning horses to join you.
I think a good way to look at ClickUp and try to understand both the culture and values that we have is to just go to our core values on our About page. We push most decisions and like how we go about things through those core values. A lot of companies have a list of core values that are kind of arbitrary words that sound nice and go on a plaque, but we really thought about these and try to push them through our teams of why we do things or how people can improve and things like that. So that's like working harder and smarter. We're working really hard to get things done and to our clients in the right way and get the product they want out. But we're also doing our best to do that in an intelligent way. Growing 1% every day. We're all about just, improving, whether that's getting more automation into our platform so that on the back end and front end of our application so that we can continue to push without regressions and things like that. I talked about progress towards perfection earlier. Being direct, we don't want to waste time with kind of just not being direct with people and having direct lines of communication so that people understand, what we're trying to do and we can all align and move forward towards our goal. We want to deliver on our product as quickly as possible, so we all need to be aligned and moving forward together. And so our core values kind of are how we define those what we're looking for in people, right? They're public, so you can check them out, and we're hiring. So if they are things that align with a place that you'd like to work at, they definitely define our culture and are a good indication of what life at ClickUp looks like.
So how do you protect your team culture, right? So it sounds you've got your core values that help you filter out the right people to come in. How do you protect that team culture? Because it's paramount. How do you protect that?
We do the standard practices of meeting with one-on-ones with individuals and going back to regularly and going back to making sure those core values are being met and our culture is staying. As we grow, we continue to have a great onboarding program where we make sure people understand those core values. If there's a bad egg, we get rid of it as soon as we can so that it doesn't negatively impact our culture. As we grow, it's just making sure that we continue to do that.
This episode is sponsored by Vanta. You're a startup founder. Finding product market fit is probably your number one priority. But to land bigger customers, you also need security compliance. And obtaining your SOC 2 or ISO 27001 certification can open those big doors. But they take time and energy pulling you away from building and shipping. And that's where Vanta comes in. Vanta is the all-in-one compliance solution helping startups like yours get audit ready and build a strong security foundation quickly and painlessly. How, you ask? Vanta automates the manual security tasks that slow you down, helping you streamline your audit. And the platform connects you with trusted vCISOs to build your program, auditors to get you through audits quickly, and a marketplace for essentials like pen testing. Join over 8,000 companies, including many Y Combinator and Techstars startups who trust Vanta. Simplify compliance and get $1,000 off at vanta.com/codestory. That's VANTA.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Kinsta. Between juggling client meetings, managing your website, and keeping up with everyday tasks, who has the time to stress out about website security? Well, with Kinsta, the technical stuff is taken care of, so you can focus on what you do best. Kinsta provides managed hosting for WordPress, offering lightning-fast load times, top-tier security, and unmatched human-only customer support. Whether you're a business owner, web developer, or running a digital agency, Kinsta makes managing your website easy and efficient. Kinsta provides enterprise-grade security, being one of the few hosting providers for WordPress with SOC 2 and other certifications, guaranteeing the highest level of security for your website. Thanks to their unlimited free expert-led migrations, Kinsta ensures a smooth transition for you from other hosting providers. Customers have reported 200% faster load times post-migration to their platform. What I find cool about Kinsta is their fast and reliable customer service and premium features that are included at no extra cost. Ready to experience Kinsta's hosting for yourself? Get your first month free when you sign up at kinsta.com today. That's KINSTA.com. Well, let's switch to scalability. So did you build this to scale efficiently from day one, or were you fighting this as you grew?
Just about all of the product we built to scale efficiently when we as we grow, right? We're growing really quickly, so there's always going to be pieces that we have to go back and scale. But we built it to scale efficiently, because if we didn't, then we would be like you were saying, we'd be constantly fighting to make sure that we are ready for the next week, because we are growing quickly, and so there's constantly new traffic, and our current customers are only like adding more to the platform, and then we have new customers. And so as we grow, it's important that everything's built to scale efficiently, because we want to not be concentrating on our old things and making sure that they scale. We want to continue to add new value to our customers with the things they're looking for in the platform.
So you said you engineered it from the beginning to try to be able to scale. How did you approach that problem? Was it, you talked about, the multi-Postgres, were you doing microservices, obviously using AWS? Talk to me a little bit about that.
From an engineering perspective, yeah, we were looking at making sure that everything horizontally scales from an infrastructure perspective. So luckily, we do have a product that partitions fairly well. All of your data is pretty much within a workspace, so we can partition out workspaces and horizontally scale our database and app servers, where my workspace's load can be partitioned over to a certain amount of servers while you're over there on some other servers. As we scale, you can continue to add servers to partition out to accommodate more users.
So as you step out on the balcony and you look across all you've built with ClickUp, what are you most proud of?
I would say that we stuck with it and continued to push in a very crowded space, and did it as a team. I love our team at ClickUp, and we have worked really hard together for the past few years to get the product we have now. And I would say in the future, if we look back in a few years and continue to and do this again, I would say that it would be that we continue to do that. We could stop now and stop innovating and stop adding new things to our platform, but no one intends to do that. We don't intend to just maintain the platform and let it continue to grow user base as far as what we have today. We want to continue to get all of your work in one place, add anything, continue to add integrations and new features, and improve the user experience of everything we currently have. And I think that'll be the future as well, as we continue to grow our team. And I think, as we were talking earlier, we'll continue to add people who fit those core values, and it'll be a team that really can get a lot done. There's different work cultures, I think, out there, and I'm pretty happy with the one we built of a culture of getting things done. We're a team that wants to build product and make something great. That's the culture at ClickUp. We're trying to build a great platform here.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
Mistakes we've made tend to not reach our customers, because we do our best not to ship crap, for lack of a better word. We've worked with some external partners before that it became clear that it wasn't going to be a good user experience, or we weren't going to get where we wanted to with them. Whether it was, they weren't quite honest in the sales process of what their platform could do, or if in the end the partnership wasn't working out. Those were typically mistakes made where we spent a lot of time on something and then we had to basically scrap it. And there's always like some contract problems, and those are disappointing, because we'll have spent a ton of time trying to get that partnership to work, and it ends up not working. So one of the mistakes I would say we've made is relying on those external partners sometimes to really be able to fully do what they can do, rather than relying on our team, who we're confident in can get it done. And we rely on those external partners to try to save time, right? Try to get something to our customers as quickly as possible. And so it's kind of disappointing when we lose time and don't get to deliver on the feature. because we relied on an external factor we can't control. Another mistake we made, I would say it's not necessarily a mistake, but our dashboards feature was originally built as a beta feature and flagged just for certain customers. When we built it, we knew there was a day it would eventually break. It was storing a ton of data. And while I wouldn't say it's not necessarily a mistake because we did it intentionally, it was the fastest way to make it for the customer who wanted it. And it was a feature we knew we were building anyway. So we just had to make sure that it scaled for everyone else before we were able to, turn it on and allow everybody to use it.
So you talked about this a little bit in the balcony question, but perhaps maybe dig into more of the innovation or, some of the things you're excited about. But what does the future look like for your product and for your team?
Yeah, for our team, we're growing really quickly. I think we've doubled in the past year. We're continuing to grow as we go forward. We're hiring for basically every position: front-end engineers, back-end engineers, management, QA, across the board from a development perspective, and then also in product and just across the company. If you look at our careers page, you'll notice that we're basically just continuing to grow the team to be able to support our growing user base. And to continue to ship those new features we really want to ship. We've built a lot of things in ClickUp. It's all your work in one place. So there's a lot that goes with that. But we want to continue to make new things, but we also want to continue to improve those old things. In order to do that, we have to, scale our team and continue to grow. And that's kind of what the future for our product looks like as well. We're continuing to add new things to our platform. Like recently, we launched email in ClickUp, so you can email outbound from tasks as comments basically, and you can create a ticketing system or anything like that, and you can kind of be able to interact with people from within ClickUp who are not within your ClickUp and kind of get your email within ClickUp. And we want to continue to expand that again, and we built a fairly MVP of our email and ClickUp feature, and we want to expand that. So we're looking to expand our team, but as quickly as we can while continuing to maintain that culture that you were asking about, like make sure that we get the right people who are aligned with our vision and our culture of, getting shit done.
Let's switch to you, Alex. Who influences the way that you work? CEO, CTO, architect, really any person. Name a person you look up to and why.
So I get this question every once in a while, and I don't have a very good answer of a single person, but I think it's important to continue to grow and have those influences. And I really like what our management team does. We pick a book once a month that everybody reads, and then we get together and we talk about it. Whether that's, a book about culture from big companies like Netflix, or how, there's the How Google Was Made book and things like that. And we talk about the lessons you learn in those and whether we align with what they have or whether that's, something we would never want to do. I think it's important to be influenced by looking at other people's stories and what they did and what either challenges they hit or the cool things that are new things they did and how they got it done, and understanding what aligns with your culture and what doesn't. And I really like that our team does that. We get together and we continue to, it's part of our Grow 1% every day is, continuous improvement. And so we get together, read a book that we think is going to have high impact for our team and discuss and sometimes argue of what we get out of it. And that's kind of, I would say that's what influences me the most.
Well, we talked about a mistake, but a little bit different spin. If you could go back to the beginning, what would you do differently, or where would you consider taking a different approach?
I would take a different approach as far as when to change our mentality as an engineering team to look at scaling our engineering team. And basically, it's interesting in a startup because you start with a mentality of we have a small team that needs to do everything. And at some point, if you're continuing to grow and things are going well, you have to change that mentality to we need to scale the team quickly so we can continue to scale with the company and the user base. The engineering side, typically in a software company, is one of the first teams you have, right? Someone has to make the thing. And so we didn't really have a marketing or sales team, so they don't have that kind of mentality ingrained in them as much of, well, no, we don't need to bring on, we don't need to scale as quickly to support that. We can support it ourselves, but we really just need to continue to grow and continue to add great people to our team to be able to do all of the things we want to do. And so really what I would do differently is just shifting that mentality earlier as we started to see success.
Well, last question, Alex. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who has built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world. They can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person having gone down this road a bit?
Keep at it. I would say there's a few things, but the one big thing is just keep going. There's going to be times where it's difficult and there's a lot of work goes into it. It's not done when you just build something or when you start to, have some revenue inbound. It's hard work for a very long time. So strap in and put in the work and don't stop. The other thing I would suggest is even when you do think you've reached a good point is not to stop innovating and keep going with your product. You'll see a lot of companies these days kind of stop once they hit a certain point and start kind of just float on that user base and stop innovating. My suggestions would be don't do that. That's kind of how you become a dinosaur and someone else comes along and unseats you from you're no longer the next big thing. There's another next big thing coming along. So that would be my advice is just keep at it. If it's truly what you want to do, keep at it. It is a lot of hard work, but it's rewarding if it is truly what you want to do. And then just keep going, even when you think, don't get discouraged or don't get complacent. Just keep moving forward.
That's great advice. Well, Alex, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for telling the creation story of ClickUp.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. It was great.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. Support the show on patreon.com/codestory for just $5 to $10 a month. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.